So we got Team China representative Violet.Kiramann on blue coin, Mistikal representing Team Ukraine on red coin, and it is indeed Arachas Swarm Triple Eater that is usually being played from blue because of Kungfoorabbit's interaction with Arachas Queen here. We do see Defender, Arachas Queen, and also Oniromancy being available. Mistikal has the Heat Wave to answer. Well, the Defender, no Purify, although is there even a Purify? No Purify, but if you are purifying this quite often, it just becomes the target. Yeah, we do see the favorite interaction, Defender into Heat Wave. The favorite interaction of people who hate Defenders. Now that Heat Wave is gone, you meet Either, and not much you can do about it in the current situation. So we do see Mistikal starting to swarm his side of the board, has a couple of organics, has Lara Doran from hand, no Frost card outside of Gales available, and you'd want to leave it for later, but you have Royal Decree and double Naglfar Crew. What's the Wispy's tribute? At the moment, Hive Mind is there, and also other organics, Morwood, Echo Card, blocking guaranteed Naglfar into the Sharkan. Okay, so we have all the things I wanted on the screen. I think if something's missing, let me know. There are no Andraga warriors available for Violet, which means that at the moment Either and Arachas Queen are the targets for the Witch's Sabbath. You can, of course, theoretically maybe play the Hive Mind, get the Kiki 3-power unit that consume a 12 with a 3. Turning it into a 3, not the most efficient play, but it does give you another Either, so it's not like you're just trading 12 for 3. Yeah, so this one Kikimoro warrior, but you can also just bring Arachas Queen. Of course, for Tatterwing, if your drones are not buffed, a Glacier Warp becomes a huge issue. As yeah, all the organics, all the leader charges that you are using will be playing for negative points for you. So that might actually force Mistikal to play more aggressively. We also see that yeah, you don't need Frost to kill Aradoran if you are playing Hive Mind like this. Just lead a charge, get your Stalker, and then play her. And yeah, point-wise, Mistikal is in a decent position here. Violet, of course, got got the setup, but yeah, that will be not good enough in current situation. So more things, important things are getting played. Mistikal, of course, already burning through the hive mind. Now Violet starts to do the same. We do see Morwood slowly growing. Already at 7, but yeah, a bit early to play Nagelfars in this situation. So it's there should be only one Stalker on Stalker action. So yeah, speaking of big Sharkan payoff, we do see that it takes on Run Warrior, but the payback is here and either kills. That's not the first unit that got killed by either. It's just how Tatterwink works. Sniping all those 1 power units and putting them straight into the graveyard. So yeah, expensive stuff left in Mystikal's hand. You are only left with 2 big units. If Gales is played into Laradoran. And we do see exactly that. No leader charge is committed, but look at the points. There is also Frost ticking. Spores are playing for a few, 9-10 points. There is still a 7 power worker, right? But yeah, that would be a bit too much to overcome, and we do see a pass. Now Laradoran gone. Morwood is a wee bit small at the moment. Of course, the thing about Morwood is that it will be brought out as the tall unit. At the moment, you are getting Kiki Stalker, Kiki Warrior, and well, if this is popped, then a 7 power worker as well. So we see Mistikal not taking it into a long round. Decides to push here, has well, when he drops 25, there is no COC and spores are not doing much. So he got himself into a great position either in a short round 3 or here. And here we have the Sabbath committed, so Mistikal gets a new toy to play with, the Kikimor Stalker, but it's hard to attack enemies with a higher power than you are. So will take a while for the Stalker to get there. Yeah, a lot of Swarm already taken out, but there are still cards. So this Glasty we talked about earlier. might come into play still. Karacha's queen getting consumed, and another copy of Either is here. That's quite a lot of pinks to play into. Of course, natural selection is a special, and Frost is a special as well. If Mistikal decides to burn that and guarantee himself the draw on more wood. Not really a great card anyway. The Frost, the Art Gate. Plus there is a Kiki more worker problem for Violet, but he's far ahead now. So losing 7 points might be not that catastrophic. You'd want to keep one of the tutors for the Glass, the other for Heatwave, but if it's Tatterwing into Morwood finisher, you don't really get to play your Toll Punish anyway. Well, that's a squirrel taking out the last chapter of Hivemind. Okay, everything is getting clicked here. Minimized value of and yeah, we do get the kill on the worker. So the Stalker with those 2 clicks and Leader. And getting you somewhere. And still get -4 here. Okay, so Mistikal can drop 25, but Glusty should be enough for Violet. I'm not sure if anything else is. And then it leaves Mistikal with only 1 good card in round 3 that he can play as a finisher, of course. Not much great stuff left here for Violet as well. Is it a worthy trade? Considering Violet still has 4 leader charges. Not much Swarm though. Well, deemed to be unnecessary to trade the golds here. So the Smorkwood is already at 15, will grow more. This is an immune unit that cannot be heat waved. Definitely don't want the Swarm cards. And yeah, considering you are most likely not getting a heatwave target, this is how it goes. So leader charge should be saved as a finisher combined with more wood, which means Mistikal has a couple of subpar plays. Also not the greatest synergy between the Frost and Drowner. But you can always drop Tatawing beforehand. So we do see defensive Parasite. No control left for Mistikal. Not the greatest acid speed value here. So that's quite a cheap card. So yeah, we do see that Incubus is getting played. Another one created for the Glusty Warp on the board. And yeah, now we do see the synergy between Glusty eating once and Double Brand Warrior, but it's it falls short of overpointing the Morpeth, and Mistikal takes game number 1 in this first series of the Gwent World Cup between Ukraine and China. We are watching final. And Mistikal is ahead. This is best of 5, so player needs to win 3. There is Archfane in hand, and okay, Mistikal decides to mulligan it. Might need it early on. Also finds a lock. Finding one means that you can find another. We will also see the Peller. Also, the Imposter is alright here. You can just target one of the units. They are 7 power, 6 power with armor, 9. So you are getting a decent value, and then you get a lock on a unit as well. So yeah, might be not the best time for the Skellige here. Violet is running deck with a single Dream, and of course Mistikal being a devotion deck, he cannot find this heat wave for location. And speaking of location, it card troll that flies out immediately. So Violet is definitely interested in setting up some control options here. Gets some cheap damage from raiders, gets card troll the clash value. Also see that thirsty dames are not really thirsty for battle as of now. They just prefer staying in the shadows, keeping themselves in deck. So it's kinda like you're offering soldiers just as a decoy here. Give me your damage. Will Violet take the bait?
Let's take the measure of your manhood.
Yeah, we do see that Knut is getting committed here already with a couple of leader charges. And location clash. Of course, even if you don't know that there are not thirsty dames, you still want to win round 1. And removing the bleed engines is a good beginning. And yeah, let the locking in begin. considering the presence of double servant, there is always a consideration to purify the lock, but you only have one shot with a purify. Wait, double shot with the purify, don't mind me. Something that I didn't notice, but yeah, this might be more important later. Says Violet, and the lock is being preserved here. Oh, the statuses are being preserved here. Valor is not getting deployed.
I want every ship ready for inspection.
Rompali is quite a decent card. We should admit that here. Gets the poison through, locks another bronze, well, half of an engine. Starts generating engine value on his own. But yeah, otherwise Mistikal is struggling for points in round 1 and will be bronzes traded for bronzes. He decides to commit a little bit, pulls Artfane out of the deck.
I value adventures only independence can provide.
Well, it is not in rush by the looks of it, and just resets the location. So there is no connecting poison, there are not many spine units. You can still throw away Emissary. You're most likely just trading with the Maxi here. And Mistikal takes the pass. Maxi is not enough considering double status. And the Rompali value. Of course, you can always clash if you are taking this deck into a long round, but I mentioned the locks. You have a couple of purifies, but if you are not getting your game plan fulfilled, is it really worth it? So Swole Blood with Swole Blood Totem, expensive provision cards go to the bottom of the deck. Would not be surprised if this is a shuffle. And yeah, the clash was necessary if you are playing your Maxi as a carryover. Verification opener for 10 points. Might force Mistikal to, if he wants to take it in one, commit something bigger. At the moment, look at those bronzes though. Bronze, 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 and then a tutor for golds. That's not looking great. Okay, Emir of course represents another draw, but yeah, Roderick is between 5 golds now. We do see Violet not keeping verification. Purification, of course, is also an answer to Masquerade Ball, potentially. If you believe that your cards are actually worth poisoning, maybe they're just worth locking. And yeah, well, it is not crazy enough to take this into long round 3. Let's see how push works out.
Down with tyranny. Yes, that's the right shout.
Those of you who joined later, we are watching Gwent World Cup final first series of the day. There will be at least one more after this, Holder versus Joe. If necessary, there will be also Sanvanter versus Catburger later on, served to you on this Twitch plate, but you can also watch this stream on YouTube. Not often you see offensive. Okay, get me out of here. Diviner and Coup. But yeah, Sigvald was utilized offensively here. Quite unusual.
There is but one punishment for traitors.
A superb specimen, truly.
So after seeing Coup on top, Mistikal keeps it and draws it with Emir. That's a nice utility of Artfane. Now you also have Roderick that you can coup and potentially get Joachim and coup that instead. Options are opening up. There's still not enough material gotten out of Mistikal by Violet's push, I'm afraid. Okay, so we got Knut. A rope.
Cursed are the meek, we say.
But that looked like a calculated move. Oh wait, did it?
The kitchen
Did it though?
its finest yet.
If this is a heatwave target, for example, if that was the plan. I don't know. It's hard to call like this. Maybe there was a slight miscalculation with the bleed giving another extra point on to the Thursday aim. Mistikal can just play a couple of bronzes and get there with the Artfane. A refresh and the bleeds being on Violet's side of the board, it doesn't even require that.
Lost spirit devoid of name, depart now our veil of pain.
I don't know. The round is definitely shortening, step by step. But what's Skellige's win con? Down a card here. It's hard to say. Roderick. Doesn't really have a nice poison connect here.
Show me what flows in your veins.
But what is also lacking is a power to stay ahead. We do see Violet committing Swole Blood. We do see a leader charge as well. So a couple of extra explosions. Is this enough? There is leader for, well, 9 plus statuses. Yeah, this should be enough. But that's Roderick out. This is Masquerade Bull and Joachim. Joachim is
Is it?
enough to get there with the leader, right? There is also Bleeding, the Thirsty Dame. Yeah. So, Totem, all geared. Something is the best hand you can hope for, but you shuffled with Maxi. And there are no guarantees to draw anything. Okay. Masquerade Ball, couple of units are here. Verification does answer the Masquerade Ball. Short round 3. Probably not a position. Oh, I see. I was not familiar with your game. Thank you for the sub. Much appreciated. Yeah, giving your opponent 6 points with in addition with the 4 they get from this scenario. Probably not the best idea.
My, the Van Moorlands, they truly spoil us.
So even if those engines are not getting insane bad, they're still getting something.
He's up to something. We ought to be up to something too.
And this something is, well, points. And extra units coming, and the Poison Connect.
Death holds no
And Violet barely gets there. To overcome Mystical's points, and Mystical has the whole card, the engine and the scenario chapter to get him, well, more than double points Violet has at the moment. So huge swing, short round triggers for scenario, and also lack of good cards on Skellige's side. But you still want to get on the score sheet, so to say. So Violet is quite interested in winning here. Has Drill, but no Purify in this deck. So getting through Defender is still somewhat of a challenge, but at least you can develop Drill and then break the Dunimir's Shield and do something with the Junior. But that's like most of your control gone, and how are you dealing with Letitia protected by the shield? I'm not entirely sure, so instead we do see... You also need coins, you get 1 fee, break the shield. If Donimir is shielded, you are already out of luck.
Come forth, coward, and your own doom confront.
Instead we have a different opening, the tags development from Violet into the Unsays, saying no. He is not afraid of dueling 2 fighters at once, but I guess he has a horse with him, so that's making it easier. Also, let me check on Salty. Don't see any messages yet.
With dignity. Gestures smooth yet restrained.
Just to be sure.
Slow, ain't ya?
That's one way to not have Letitia doing anything for ya in this game. So she was just the sacrificial mage.
The day is nigh when all shall behold my beauty.
Okay, we see Furko here for the 4th tag and Yoink. It could have been the damage and junior click, of course, as well. Another coin, and Violet is just running straight to graduation here with all the students. Okay, they're all, and another one is joining the Violet School of Syndicate. I guess Aretusa and Ban Art are transferring to the city of Novigrad. They got the finances, which yeah, makes Mistikal consider passing here and trying to start a new school at new place. So not exactly getting to the Zealth alumni, but yeah, that's not Near of God that would have been interested in getting both of the values to 4. Tags are here, as well as a couple of heavy hitters in terms of golds. No Novigrad.
Only one of us will still stand by
And well, Bank is not really a reliable artifact tutor, is it? More students are possible from the chapter, from the rune wards, of course. Yeah, we do see both students coming here, coming with the shield as well.
One man's battlefield is another man's ripe patch for harvest.
So, little bird for the blind eyes, yeah. Do you spend? Do you keep the funds for the drill? You cannot spend on deploy twice, so I guess it's fine to just put points onto the board.
Rubbish in, rubbish out, they say. Pass and forget. Not I.
You can bring down the boosted units with Bloody Good Friends, but it also is a poison target if we are seeing all in from Violet here.
Humanity will perish while the few survivors will be like animals.
So yeah, setting up potential drill here. Forcing Mistikal to take action, either spending leader charges, but with bleed that's not really a very efficient shield. It does boost it to 5 power though. But yeah, finally defenders time to shine. Mystical decided to keep it and just hope for Violet to not have an answer. Also forces a removal and gives you options with the students, but Violet was in a possession of all the strings in round 1, so that gambit didn't work out really.
Finally, you
Anyway, speaking of all-ins,
Premium grade won't find any better.
it's a few points. Didn't go for the poisons on that. It was a student, of course. There is a Pilar, so poison in Defender is making Pilar's job harder. Otherwise, that student would have been just purified and you'd get nothing for it. Here, at least you eliminate the Defender if it gets purified, and Bernard student will not shoot if you drill it from the board.
Living souls in your wake should ne'er deign forget
Okay,
your sin.
so yeah, force is another leader commitment, so good poison. Achieving something plus, well, you cannot kill it, but yeah, bloody good friends once again can remove shields, can remove boosts. Change the vendor on top. Novigrad in the middle of it.
Best commodity in town, I swear it.
I would assume that after the... Oh, no! Treason! Treason! Bernard student just killing another student.
I'm impressed.
I'm impressed. Yeah, that looks like the game. But Mystical decides to play it out still.
Well, it's war. Severed limbs, blood, and guts.
Folks say we live like princesses.
Okay, the value of 4 has been achieved. The Mystical is still impressed. No, yeah, there are just not enough points there, mostly. Although, wait. Nah, I should, especially with those rolls, there are not enough points. Nothing really left in Violet's deck. Might as well just click everything here and bet on your opponent not having 74 points, which they don't. So, Team China gets first point in this series, but Mystical is still closer. Well, apparently to getting crazy, self-picking, and all, but yeah, he still has a couple of games giving him a chance of bringing Team Ukraine first point and the lead in this Gwent World Cup final. Great job with pulling all the strings by Violet.Kiramann. And first win. See, influential card here. And then Knut. If that survives, sticks to the board. Of course, Mystical has Unsafe. Combination with Shield Wall is deadly for quite tall. Arachas Swarm or Syndicate. Now, after winning the previous game, it makes things easier. So what's good here for Mistikal? Has Donimir, has AA, and Arcane Tome, so Letitia can be found. A Peller is there, but no location for Violet. So a Wild Defender is at 10 provisions and not available from Amphibious Assault. Letitia is just a 7p card. You can tutor that. That avoids playing Arcane Tome into an Aeromancy. That avoids access, giving access to Karate Heat Wave. And yeah, at the moment there is no unit, no card that deals with Letitia. So having Peller is nice and all, but there is no continuation. There's also not enough in combination with Knut to kill Letitia, and yeah, Mistikal, but it's enough to Knut the first student.
I kneel to Svalblood and Svalblood alone.
So one gun, but more to come. Do we see? Like, you cannot play Oniro and say kill Knut and just give your opponent Heat Wave on Letitia, can you? And this is the downside of Arcane Tome. Yeah, her value is at 4 already, so as soon as Bernard's student land in, things are bound to happen. Mardrome on 5 power unit is only giving you 6 damage, so that's not enough as well. And yeah, mission accomplished. And mission is a success. Sacrifice necessary to the student. Get a better value on the alumni. So yeah, this is true. Zeal will be achieved. Winning round 1 from this position. Well, not impossible, but also not that trivial. Oh, not that cheap. Still takes 1 turn for Bernard student unless you are casting contest this to kill Knut. And Violet takes a pass instead of playing Ship Martrom, feeling that at least here I'm getting a card. Also nice use of Arcane Tome here, your opponent doesn't get to click it. So Mistikal was accurate with it, not seeing the heat wave in the beginning was delaying Arcane Tome for a situation like this.
Sure, be glad to.
The day is nigh when all shall behold my beauty.
So the growth continues, more and more knowledge is being accumulated to the students to pass to the alumni. We're also seeing Mistikal thin out another student out of the deck, so that practice makes perfect is hitting those.
Sorcery is a sword with no hilt.
No alumni here.
Rubbish in, rubbish out, they say. Pass and forget. Not I.
And Neuromancy is a very cool card to have, if you can. Okay, so location control is pretty great. There is another one coming in a couple of turns. -2. I'm now at 7-7. You still have Gerhardt and Seis. You have PMPs. Your opponent is in search of Heatwave control. You have the chapter of Wizards carryover, but your card rolled is also rechargeable here. Okay, what's the situation for Misty? Finds Gerhardt, but yeah, there was an Aeromancy, so still a positive outcome, finding it into the hand. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this card also destroying 4P. Would have been quite good. So a little bit of невезение. From Violet, but
My home is wherever the road takes me.
I mean, yeah, that's the deck. That's what we pointed out. Finding those cards earlier would have been quite nice.
Their numbers are plenty, but we shall prevail.
So Alumni number 1 doesn't have anything to interact with, but protected by the shield. So not much you can do with it. This only breaks shield after the pass and other stuff. Sigrifa's right. I suppose you could have Knut break it clash. Knut is dying to any of the alumni played later though. The Dragon Turtle is nice. As in, yeah, your damage is not really scary for me. What's Sensei's situation with Dragon Turtle? There is one leader charge only, but you can buff it, and yeah, this is what we're seeing here. Off it goes. Still one alumni in the dark. AA, PMP, another PMP, another casting contest. So everything is alumni basically. This as well.
Glory to Svalbard!
So this is Glory to Svalbard versus Glory to Alumni and Educational System for mages.
Tread carefully, lest this semester be your last.
And let's start practicing, says Misty. Should consider a potential heat wave, so we do see that order is being used immediately. No point sacrificing 19 of them points to the heat wave.
By your side, a pleasure, a privilege, an honor.
So fanatics just wanted to study their subject peacefully. The transformation and all that, but alumni who is already educated see them as a potential threat and start removing it, taking points away from Svalbard, of course. Do we even see Svalbard? We do. We see one. Only 4 units on the board, so all the extra explosions are not really that impactful. Not enough damage to finish off the Svalbard. But next explosion takes him out, and yeah, to prevent that, spores are being utilized. I mean, it's 8 points over 9 or something similar on the other units. Casting contest makes probably for a better target. So speaking of alumni, another one incoming. Beam, beam, bam, bam. Another one is getting spawned, but it's dying to a clash. No really answer for this Sigvald available. Is a clip consideration? No, okay. Apparently I misread the situation. Yeah, the Sigvald clashing with the tallest unit will be just a preferable outcome by a couple of points. Yeah, 18 versus what was here, 12. So points. It's a lot. 1 martyrdom, leader charges, all going to the Sigvald totem click. Well, can go anywhere. The Fanatic is 2 points, Bleeding is 2 points. Man. Two. Ah, and here we have it. Sigvald strats winning. They do not care about education. Me strong. Me resist bleed, says Svalbard Sigvald combo, and yeah, we have ourselves a decider. Okay, so we are in the decider between Ukraine and China. Score between teams is 0-0. Score in the series between Mistikal and Violet is 2-2. And yeah, we got ourselves an additional firepower in Salty Captain. Nice to have you here.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me, Rabbit. And chat, I know that we're on delay, but it's great to... it will be great to talk to all of you here presently.
Yeah, so Arachas Swarm failed one time for Violet.Kiramann, but gets another shot from Preferred Coin. We see either Defender and Access in form of 2 tutors, so the game plan is a go. The answer is, can insectoids stop the education? We just seen the brute force of Skellige overcoming the power of knowledge.
And now with this list, it's going to be interesting because Violet's version of this list runs in the mid-range, runs a little bit more control than some of the other lists with Acid Spit and Parasite. So it really, it's going to have some answers, but it's not until the damage engines get set up. It's not very efficient against shields. So it should give Mistikal some level of chance here to be able to get some value out of setting up the students. And so we'll see exactly what Violet's going to be able to do to stop all that carryover.
Yeah. Oh, that's a nasty roll to have.
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah, missing the melee student. You don't really want to use Arcane Tome against Arachas Swarm, considering the amount of organics and, well, if they miss tutors as well. And yeah, we see that Mistikal didn't have access to Defender, decided... This is second Letitia just getting sacrificed. So far, not the greatest day for her. And yeah, another questionable role there.
Yeah, just like in the previous game with mages, Mistikal just really not rolling well on these rune words, and that's putting him in a really bad spot, because at this point, I mean, it's unless something really dramatic happens, Violet is not just going to win the round here, but also has done all of the setup work that they've wanted to do, while also denying any student carryover whatsoever to this point.
Yeah, and we see that Mistikal is trying to keep some leader charges for the later rounds, but well, the organic cards.
This student is immediately going to die as well. It's not a great situation for Mistikal here.
Yeah. So I guess this version, or in this location, the education was not set up properly, and the students are dying very young, without much experience.
It's the American education system, Rabbit. There's just not a lot. There's not as much value as there should be.
Okay, I kind of accidentally assisted you, I guess, on this. I've seen some casts of you and Lemon as well with references to things like this, so it wasn't on purpose. But yes, here you give your opponent Arcane Tome, and I would expect that they're quite happy to click it for variety of reasons. Hive Minds, just Echo cards, or not Echo, sorry, Organic cards. Even Spores, potentially. No, okay. But still, a lot of points just from a click, and you are running out of arcane tome value sooner than your opponent, most likely.
Yeah, we see again a sizable point gap here already, but with obviously Violet's not going anywhere. But the front row student at least now is starting to get some value, and if you are Violet, you have to be thoughtful about where does the Sabbath go in terms of rows and what you want to do to deny some value here. So when the Witch's Sabbath gets played, so it'll be interesting to see how much more control Violet leverages, because next turn you're going to be able to parasite the front row student. You've got a lot of different options here for control. It's going to kind of depend on if Mistikal really wants to keep trying to drive here.
Yeah, so...
Because Mistical's obviously not winning the round.
Yeah, this Arcane Tome would allow to, like, use Spores and just Stalker the front row student as well, if it's not boosted anymore. Then, as you mentioned, Parasite is yeah, so many options there for Violet to just continue controlling the situation that Mistikal decides to pass. You have
the front row student got to 2. Is that correct? Because I don't have the ability to...
It was at 1, and the pass came, and the ranged is at 1, so not the best alumni value at the moment. We do see Squirrel getting Mulligant, which means that Violet is not trying really, being at 7 cards to try and fix the graveyard situation for a better Sabbath value, and we see instant pass. Since Mistikal didn't really achieve his game plan part 1 yet, you can allow him to do that in a long round 3, while your game plan, your Sabbath, is already loaded.
And the student here does get to 4, so that's something. And now if Mistikal can keep the back row student alive, the boost student, then it's possible in a long round 3 that then you get Zeal on your alumni. But I mean, even still, like, is that going to be nearly as much value as double Ran Warrior in a long round against the Sabbath?
Yeah. So at least control is there. You cannot, of course, Zeal your alumni at the moment. So you are playing multiple turns into well, first of all, there is a defender coming from a Sabbath, right, with double leader, so Peller is there, which is nice, of course, but, well, you are generating value onto the Eaters immediately, and that allows getting Stalker out of removal range, potentially.
Be glad to.
Having first say in a round, of course, is nice for Mistikal.
And it will be curious to see here. Violet's got some options. And it just depends on how much you want to rotate to kill this back row student, because the Shawnee will eventually die, but it dies more quickly and easily after your damage engines get set up on board, and you can do something like ping off the shield and parasite. So instead, Violet opts instead to set up the Hive Mind and get that going. Next up is the Kikimor Stalker, which makes sense as a damage engine, and you kind of push from there. That's a nice find for Mistikal, to find an alumni shielded and be able to front row it.
Mm-hmm. So 5 leader charges, you can grow it, pink and parasite stuff. You can also... yeah, the damage is more important to remove at the moment, but if you are focusing on removing damage, then the Retuda student grows, and you cannot here answer both simultaneously.
Yeah, it's an interesting spot for Violet here because the Sabbath will the Sabbath will also trigger the Hive Mind, which puts the damage on the board, but you're only drawing right now the 2 units. And one of them is an alumni that if you go either row is going to get some decent value for opponent. So it'll be interesting to see how long Violet waits for the Sabbath. Another damage engine alumni comes out on board. I was super excited to see the dry pass from Violet into round 3 because I'm curious about who wins a long round in between 2 decks that really like for long rounds.
Yeah, like at the moment it looks all alumni, honestly. The zeal is already there, the control options are there, but Violet was like insta-passing, so not really considering that things might go south in round 3. So is it just to believe that once you set up with the Sabbath you are good to go? First of all, yeah, you need to actually get 3 units into the graveyard most likely, otherwise you are in trouble. So,
right, because you'd like to Hideous Feast the back row student, but the problem is it's doomed. So, like you said, it's not going to do you any good. And the longer you wait on the Sabbath, the Itter, like the longer that combo goes, the less good life is. You also have an Incubus in hand that you're going to have a tough time activating, and even if you do, it's going to be a tougher time getting value for you, given the fact that you're bringing out an engine potentially for Mistikal.
So what's Arcane Tome, Spores, Acid Speed, casting contest, my practice makes perfect. So yeah, the presence of this Arcane Tome is also kind of questionable if you're trying to continue the engine setup.
But we shall prevail.
It's gonna be a problem.
We're starting to see a pretty big gap here between with Mistikal's lead, while we are also seeing that back row student just kind of continuing to slowly grow. Now we finally do see the defender and the double Itter in the back row protects the Vran warrior, and now we should start to see some of the engine work.
Yeah. And well, if I've ever seen the point swings in Matol organized tournaments, one of the memorable ones is of course the Vran Warriors and Glasty Warp during the winner takes all series that we had in the end of the previous year. It was a meta deck, everyone was jamming it, and yeah, set up a couple of Vran Warriors, be 50 points behind, spawn some drones, and voila, especially if you are successful at getting some offensive consumes with Glasty, the points are insane. So yeah, I would not discard monsters at the moment, even if the setup is achieved by Mistikal in quite fast in round 3 as well. I was expecting at least a couple of turns of struggle, but he basically with Shani opener already got there.
Yeah, and we see Mistikal protecting the back row student, which again, just it's very sneaky, but just continues to kind of grow turn over turn, which will make the practice makes perfect a lot better going forward. It makes that last alumni in hand for Mistikal a lot better. But again, we see because of the delay in how the engine setup needs to work, we see Violet having to slow down, continue to slowly play out the cards that you need. This looks like this. The second Vran Warrior might just be... So yeah, I was going to say, I don't think both Vran Warriors will stick this turn, but at least now that opens the door possibly for this other Stalker to live, and that's really important for Violet to potentially remove threats to set up Glusty. Yeah. It's going to be a tough ask.
The problem is, yeah, there is unsafe, so you cannot go tall, and also you are eliminating the drones. You cannot go... leave it low, because 4 damage is still a possibility. And yeah, goes for acid speed, I expect. Has a couple of either clicks to spread the joy, but that's either clicks without Kikimor Stalker on the board.
Exactly. And that Stalker, to your point before, this in one way or another, the Stalker doesn't live, whether it's PMP, whether it's on Sace. There's a casting contest. If it doesn't get pulled here, there's no universe where that second Stalker from hand is gonna live for Violet.
Yeah. And considering you're not scared of Toll Punish, you can just float the damage as well. Although now with the Arethusa student growing to 7, it's becoming more and more profitable to play the alumni back row. But in this situation, I think you might still be interested in, answering stuff. We do see alumni destroying one of the eaters. Point gap still remains, like nothing is happening. The acid speed value was kinda denied on one side already. I doubt that the Arethusa Adept is getting PMP'd though. There is one student only, so you'd want to avoid hitting that. But it's gonna be a 50-50 right with PMPs.
We see the Stalker comes down. Curious to see what I imagine that you want to play. Yeah, I was gonna say, I imagine that you want to play a combination of cards here to get some value out of it, knowing that it's going to die.
Yeah, this rope won't do it.
Yeah, no, and Violet does rope. Presumably, you wanted to kill that back row student, but that took a little bit too long there in the decision-making process.
Yeah, this deck, unlike Alumni, where you plan and you click and it's usually like, I get the big value. The question is how you queue your special cards. This requires all that thinking, plus actually good APM and clicking, yeah. So while Mistikal can spend most of his turn just strategizing and thinking how much of damage you float and what do you do with it. And then just utilizing the plan. If you spend same amount of time on the monsters, you are in for a bad time. Okay,
and
so
Mistikal again wins the 50-50. And opens up a huge point lead that keeps that back row Arethusa student just continuing to grow and get massive value. It's now going to play for the 9 points on the back row alumni, plus its own at least 10 to 11, depending on how long Mistikal holds the charge on that. So the Shawnee really did the work there to be able to get that student out and be able to get that zeal value for the alumni.
Okay. So now you're not really dealing with the Arethusa student. Yeah, killing is nice and all, but Shani is active at the moment.
Correct, and so you'd like to be able to kill on board and then play your Incubus, if then as possible. But otherwise, it looks like the Incubus might just play as a 5-point card, and like you said, you're giving value back to the Shawnee click here.
I suppose. Wait, Stalker is dying. So how are you actually killing? How are you actually? I was thinking that surely you can do something with it.
And the problem here now is like
sorry.
Yeah, and if you Glusty now, then it makes the Incubus active, but then you give the opponent a huge on-sace because between the back row alumni click and shield, your Glusty becomes a much better target for the on-sace than what's currently on board.
Yeah, so
if you just accept playing the Incubus here,
Yeah. You're basically raising all the ones on your side of the board, not getting many from your opponent. And all this is getting just Unsafe, because Unsafe will be what, 14 with the shield. It's too many points. I guess you should be banking on Incubus and just Glusty Finisher. Because otherwise Unsafe is quite inefficient.
And there was a line, I think, on the second turn of this round where Violet could have played a Hideous Feast, could have opted to make the second card of the Hive Mind, the first card of the Hive Mind, a Stalker, and then played a Leader Charge and Hideous Feast on the same turn and killed that back row student, the Aretuza student. And I wonder if that might have been better in the end, because otherwise, then we know this in hindsight, but then that would have meant that you would, in order to get Zeal on the alumni, that Mistikal would have had to have played another student instead of playing the, being able to play the front row, play AA on the front row student, which then, of course, was able to continue to generate more value. So I don't know if it would have mattered here, a 20-point swing to be sure, between Mistikal and Violet, but Mistikal finally gets through with the alumni deck and Northern Realms.
Yeah, so we got ourselves a first result of the day that goes to the team score, not to the player sheet. So 3-2, and Ukraine is in the lead. We will be watching at least one more series. If Holder manages to beat Joe, that will be the end. And Ukraine's victory. If Joe wins, then we are waiting for series